Gender bias in my career. Well, starting out my career, I saw women doing the technical, more of a technical job. You see them doing the clerical job. But when you come up the ladder a bit in management, you hardly see women coming up the decision ladder. Maybe amongst 10 executive management, you see 1 or 2 women, and they will not be handling the finance or the hard part. You would naturally see them handling the human resources, internal relationship, things that generally have to do with the womanly feature. It was a bit difficult for me because I always wanted to be on that decision taking, and I needed to see women that were there and how they got there. But thankfully, things are getting better now.
Well, my finance career is pretty young. Started in 2019. But before that, I was a student working in the broadcasting station, and I faced a lot of bias. The studio director in that particular organization didn't really want to hear from the women. He expected us to do our job that he has assigned to us and just be there, and not make contributions to managerial decisions like you mentioned. Like, just do your technical job and leave, collect your pay, and that's it. So whenever I have any suggestions on how operations could run better, systems could be better, I had to go through my male counterparts who might not even, and a lot of times these guys had not been at the organization as long as I had been, but simply because they were male, he preferred to listen to them. Now that's just peculiar to him. I'm not saying it's everywhere, but that was my experience. So starting my financial career, I did notice that people seemed surprised when I expressed interest in the line that I expressed interest in. People would always go like, well, you don't have to do that. I mean, you could just, you could just get married. You still get married, like, you don't need to. And I'm like, no, I want this. Why can't I want this? So, like I said, my career is pretty young. So, thankfully, HOD is pretty pro women. So I don't really, for now. I said thankfully. She's pro women. From my experience, anyway, she's pro women, and it's been great so far.
And then there's the knowledge gap too. They just assign femininity with frivolous things. They don't expect you to have certain knowledge, and then it comes like a surprise when you display some level of knowledge, and they're like, wow, like how do you know this stuff? You're not supposed to, that kind of thing. And they just expect the gathering of females to just be, make up. Most of the times, of all the times actually that has happened, I try to let them understand that forget the gender. I have a brain, It's the same brain cell we share actually.
You used to share it?
It's the same number of cells that we have, So if you can know it, nothing stops me from knowing it too.
For me, I actually didn't start off my career as a risk person. I started off HR, and one of the reasons why I decided to venture into that career path was I didn't want the gender bias situation. So I'm like, oh, so many women in this side of the world going there. And when I knew better, I'm like, this is not what I want, this is not who I am. So I took that decision and said, okay, I think I like this. And I took it upon myself. But as time went on, I saw that, okay, for the particular organization I had to start my career with, whenever there's a team lead, a manager, a head, it's a man. And I'm like, okay, what exactly is going on? Is it because there are not enough smart women? which wasn't the case. I could tell you for a fact that 80% of the knowledge I have in risk came from the women in my department. But when it's time to pick a manager, it's not a woman that's being picked. So, I mean, for me, it became something I got driven about, and I said, if I have to be the first head of risk that I know, I'm going to make that happen. So, it always made me more hardworking, more driven to gain knowledge. I think the bias is just there in particular career paths for women, like because you're a woman, not because you don't even know what is being done in that particular it's just the fact that you are a woman and you have to be sidelined.
And like I think we earlier mentioned, the industry of finance it has a requirement of being doubled, in the sense that you have to be extremely blunt. There's some decisions you have to take, and ma-would-you kind of decisions, and most times those attributes are aligned with the manly attribute, in the sense that they feel they can walk them to a stretch. They can call them morning, night, afternoon, evening, in the night, and there's no threats, because you can use a man as you want to use a man. But when it comes to a woman, because they feel we are very fragile, they tend to say, okay, no, I don't think you can handle this. Let's give you the less taxi part of the work, or just handle the data entry part or the technical part, or just make sure that the number align, but you don't have to make the decision. And it makes it a bit difficult, because we in our generation have seen women rise up, and we've seen them break barriers. And when we were in school, we were taught that you can be whatever you want to be. So when we come out and we're like, we want to do this, there's inanimate attribute in society that tells you, just stay. We're not saying you cannot do it, or we're not saying just calm down, just take the ladder. Sometimes you see your male colleague climb up the ladder fast, and then you are asking the same question. We have the same qualification. Why can't I? They say, no, it's easy. He's a man. He has a family to take care of. But you are willing to give even much more than what the man is. But sometimes I don't even know. Even sometimes the restraint comes from the same gender, that is the women, in the sense that they don't even know when they are opposing to you. They're like, no, you can't do it. You soon get married. There's someone that once looked at me and said, I think you will soon get married soon. So I don't want to allocate the serious part of the work to you. Once you get married, now your husband will be asking you of things. But then those kind of things break our hearts, because when we signed up for the job, we signed up for 100%. Sometimes you are not prepared for the contingencies that come up, but you know that they will happen. But because we've seen people rise, we are also looking out for those people that will encourage you to say you would rise persistently. So sometimes we don't know. Sometimes the women are the ones that are promoting the gender bias, but we are looking out for a generation where just because you're a girl, it qualifies you faster than a man. We're looking out for a time when you say, okay, we know that you might be fragile, but we're willing to give you the opportunity to just do what you can for the period that you can, and we will take it up from there. And for finance, we're seeing a rise, a very big rise in the sense that we're seeing more MDs of banks coming up, and they are becoming women. And it's so inspiring to see big banks, big names, and women are coming up, and they are the ED. But then we're still saying there's still more. We want to see women in aerospace. We want to see women in physicians. We want to see women break glasses. In the sense that those things that they say that we cannot do, that's what we do, and we balance it out with keeping up with our family.
And I think part of the bias is the fact that even sometimes when you have women rise to that place, you now have the negative comments of
she left her with
yes. So it rarely, I won't say it doesn't, it rarely happens that a man is put in a position of power and the first thing anybody says. But when it happens with a woman, that bias mentality is there. I don't know if it's an African thing, but people would always be fast to think, what has she done to get to that position? Who is she sleeping around with.
In some cases, women are found to be enablers. Maybe you are doing well on your own, and they will just be like, "What's she doing that I'm not doing? She must be doing something. She must be doing something with this person that I'm not doing." And it's that lack of support. We just have to learn to support each other more. And another thing I think might help is having a mentor. You have to, it's usually in a workplace, you might have a mother figure, someone that you can always talk to, someone that is high up there that can support. I mean, it's what we encourage to support the young ladies coming up in their career. There are women who have grown to positions where they can actually be at par with the men. These women are in a position to support these young ladies coming up.
Okay, when it comes to breaking the barriers, I think representation is as important as you actually carrying out actions yourself. Because if you can't visualize something, it's easier to visualize something if you've seen someone else do it. For example, it's easier to say, "Oh, I want to be the ED of a bank," if you've seen a woman be the branch manager. It's like, okay, if she can get up to here, I can get up to there. No, that's how it is. So it's very important that we see women do the things that we want to do. I mean, it's great to be a trendsetter and all of that, but then it's also great to have people who are like you, people who have done what you want to do, and people who are doing what you are still doing. Yeah, so representation is very, very, very important, because it builds not just visual inspiration now, but then it builds this sense of familiarity and some familiar relationship, thinking that even though you might not see the person, whenever I see a woman, especially in my field, making it, I always go like, "Yes, girl." Like, even though I don't know you from anywhere, because I know what it takes and I know how hard it can be sometimes. So when I see you win, I'm always going like, so imagine if I didn't have somebody like that to encourage me, whose random story just pops up on my Instagram feed. I'm like, yes, okay, I think I can do this. Okay, so yeah.
And I think one more important thing, and it has to be consciousness, is for women that are already up there, women carrying women, we have to stand in a point where we can disrupt those assumptions. In the sense that when somebody is talking to you and they literally say, "Oh, that person is bitter," well, the job requires her to be bitter. That person is too strong. Well, the job requires her to be strong, because it could be you there tomorrow. You don't literally have to pull somebody down to feel better than yourself.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to see the strength. There's something about honor. You have to literally consciously stop looking at the person's weakness and look at the person's strength, especially if you want to follow the person.
I've been on jobs, I used to freelance before this. I've been on jobs where they're like, "Oh, you're the very first back-end developer I'm working, very first female back-end developer I'm working with." And before, there was a point in my life when I used to tell me, "Oh yeah, yes, first female," but at some point it became, really, at this point, there's no female developer that you've worked with. How about we get another person? How about we get somebody? And to be able to do that, I need to be able to show them that it's worth putting in the work to female developers. Like, go and get them. Yes, you are going to get this kind of value. When it's a woman handling your code, she's a lot more meticulous. You're going to find a little less bugs. You are still going to find bugs, but but it's not going to be as a result of, "Oh, it's a bad bad algorithm," maybe linting issues. But point is to be able to say, "Oh, okay, if you defend, why haven't you worked with another female developer?" I should be able to let them see why working with a female, I feel like I should be able to help them see why they should work with female developers. Specifically coming from a family of 5 females, 1 boy, we're 6 children in total, and every single one of my sisters, aside from one of them who's doing pharmacy, the last child is a girl as well, and she's already trying to enter the tech space. She's curious about some programming languages. My older sister is in tech. She's a DevSecOps. I'm in tech, backend development. My younger sister is in tech, networking. So I mean, you can't see these women doing great things and be like, yeah, no, let me go and become somebody's housewife. I'm not saying housewife is like a bad thing, but it's not, it doesn't seem like, something to I don't know, it just always felt like you wanted to be able to talk to your sisters on the same level, and with what I do, I can achieve that seamlessly.
Yeah. Okay, so when it comes to losing your femininity in a bid to make it to the top, I don't think it's as strong a factor as when women just started making it to the top. I mean, there are tons of work environments that still allow women to be feminine but be the boss. You understand? Being a boss is not you wearing pantsuits all the time and not wearing makeup and being hard all the time. I mean, you can be. I think it's more about respect. If you respect yourself, automatically, I've noticed, people begin to respect you. So if you respect yourself and people respect you, there is no need to lose part of yourself. But then originally, I would admit that it was a concern of mine, having to change who I am to be able to fit into the description or the demand of my position. But then it comes down to choosing wisely. It comes down to choosing a place that is for you. And if you're willing to take your time to find the organization as a good fit for you. Like for example here, I'm not losing my feminine, I mean, look at me. But then I'm not losing any part of myself, and I'm still getting the job done, because you can be who you are. Being who you are, being the kind of person you are, should be an addition to your contribution to the organization. It shouldn't take away from it. So I guess it just boils down to choosing the right organization for you. If you know that your femininity is something that is precious to you, which it should be, because there's a reason why you were made a woman. So it's something important to you and you don't want to lose it. You need to take the time to find an organization that supports it, and well, God help you to find one.
I think it's a perception thing for me. That's just where I'm going to end. I think it's a thing of perception. A woman or a man would be assertive if they need to make a decision. I mean, people are resistant to change. People are resistant to ideas. So a lot of times you would need to be that person. And in the quest to be that person is when people now say, you're now behaving like a man. I don't understand that. I'm behaving like a human being.
The way I handle it is balance. There are days where I just want to relax and be taken care of, right? and
Baby girl life.
And there are days where I know what I want and I'm not letting it down. And somehow, how I put it in perspective is, there will be times when people will use it as a threat against me. Because I've always had this dominion of a career woman, and everybody's like, Dolako is scary and all that, but I don't see it as a threat. I see it as a means to an end. But then there are days where I just want to be taken care of, and because of the perception you have about me, it's hard for you to fit me into that box. I do it regardless, because I feel like this is my time to be taken care of. So I get that a lot, but I also feel it's balanced. Obviously, in the workplace, you show more than the other, but then you also want to be able to balance it out. It's real. It definitely will come. There will be days where people will tell you, why are you loud? Why are you so stubborn? Must you shout? Must you raise your voice? I'm telling you at that point in time, I'm trying to communicate to you. Forget that this is me. This is what I want. But when it comes to that time where I'm able to ask you for a perfume because I feel like I need to smell nice, I will. So I think it's balanced. Yeah. Because of the imagery of the society, we have to be positioned in such a way that we are one step ahead. Yeah. We have to be constantly researching. We have to constantly gain knowledge. There has to be a place where you position yourself that I am going to be top notch when it comes to my knowledge. Definitely you can't know 100% about everything, but you know at least 5% about 100% of everything. You have to have an idea, so you're not stuck in a rut when you
keep
have
learning.
exactly when they talk about cryptos or when they talk about NFTs, you're not looking like what's going on.
happening?
Your business is not just your children, your family.
Yeah.
You're grown to be an impact into the society. If not, God will have just put you behind bars or something. And then consistently, we have to get to the place of service. We can't keep having so much inside of us and just thinking it's just our families or our extended families that should be benefiting. We are women, and naturally God has put in us naturals, and there is a whole lot of skills. But then if we keep it to just a limited few, we find out that we are not opened up to lots of network, lots of opportunities, to people that would vouch for you when you need it. So you have to have that heart of service and continually put yourself in a situation where you are willing to serve.
It's easier to fight these things when we stand as one. You know, we don't fight the next person and be like, she's your competition. No, she's supposed to be your sister, your support system.
Yeah, that's true.
When you surround yourself with the right set of people, I mean, that sounds cliche, right?
We have an
There are
amazing
times-
team though.
No jokes, like there are times where you do something good, right? And I mean, my team, they reassure you that at Sycamore, I need to put that out there. My team at Sycamore,
everybody
I need to put that out there. They tell you that, oh, usually you don't, wow, usually you are doing well, usually you are doing that. And I bet you times where you're down and you are not able to just deliver on a task. Thoughts of, oh, actually you did well. So hello, you are really delivering value. I feel those are the motivation that sort of brings you out of that overthinking and that thought you put yourself.
Earlier on, when I joined the tech team of Sycamore, like as I said earlier, I was the only girl on the team as at that time. So it was just like I kind of felt like I was in a spotlight. So we all guys, I'm the only female. So and about the self-evaluation thing too. So that was at that point I had to be like, whoa, am I doing enough? Imposter syndrome always sets in. Am I doing enough? Is someone seeing what I'm doing? Like, is it adding up? Does it count? And all of that stuff. So even when you might actually be burning out yourself, you just feel that you're not producing the results you want to see or the results you're expected to produce. So
especially when you get caught on a bug, right?
I'm telling you, you could be stuck for like straight 6 hours and you
start wondering, why did these people hire me? Am I sure? Am I sure that I'm going to give them the value for the money they are paying me?
I've had to reevaluate my decision of really majoring in tech, like choosing tech as a career, like
a couple of times.
Was that the mistake of my life? Maybe it's not too late for me to
can we switch now?
do something else, or
I like how they say self-evaluation, like it really just comes to you that easily. Even the self-evaluation, sometimes they're like, are you sure like you are being honest about this, like this evaluation you are giving yourself? Like how far? Okay, yes, right. At the end of the day, you gave them this thing and it works. What makes you sure that, if you sat down with it, you couldn't do better? And then, you start to wonder, and sometimes you just close your laptop. Okay, wait, and breathe. Just breathe. And eventually especially when you give some of your best work, when you have done that thing and there's no issue with it.
When you raise the PR.
Exactly. And then they merge without giving you any comments. Exactly, yeah.
You guys.
So that's that's like the God feelings. Like I can't do anything. I can't make anything go. But yeah, like they said, but the evaluation thing doesn't come. I really need to touch on the fact that the evaluation thing doesn't come easy. You don't think in the moment of imposter syndrome that okay, yes, but Tommy, you did good work so and so time. It's even the good work is staring at you in the face. You're like, yeah, maybe on that point in time I was on like a different high. Can I get that high again? Stuff like that. It gets really bad and it can really bring you down depending on how mentally fit you are, how strong you are mentally. And I feel like I really need to touch on the fact that you need to prepare yourself. You need to practice, not just being able to deliver your work, but how your mental deals with everything that gets thrown at you right? You are in the part where you've messed up, you have done something bad. They're calling you out, everybody's scolding you, like, oh, you didn't do this thing right. And yes, like those times you can even go into the, I didn't do well, I can't do well again, and shut down. And in that moment, nobody's saying, okay, all the all the motivational speeches you heard, none of that will come to you at that point in time. No perspirate to whatever aspire. It's not going to come to you in that time. And a lot of the time, because I practice meditation, a lot of the time breathing really helps. It really just helps you separate yourself from this particular situation. And a lot of the time, that's what you need, space from what it is that's happening to you and how you are going to deal with it. Take that time. Take that time before you respond. Nobody's saying do the response to me. Yeah, just yelled at you, just scolded you. Yes, I've heard. I've done my thing. I've heard you. You take your breath. Breathe in. Then you can let the thoughts back in. Let them hear what they say. Hear it and take your time to now evaluate each and every.
Honestly, people's opinions are people's opinions, and your life is your life. So if you're gonna go around breaking seals, you have to be ready for people's opinions and be ready to push out whatever doubt is, because we're human, and no matter how fierce you are, when you have somebody come into your safe space, have someone be someone you trust, someone you're vulnerable to. When the person says something negative, like your friend's dad, if I telling my dad, I got this, so you should be saying, oh my god, my princess, hey, yay, and then you're telling me men will run from me. It's gonna hurt me, and I'm going to take it a minute to.
I mean, he wouldn't have said that to his male child.
Right, yeah, but it's then left to me to go like, well, thank you for the congratulations. Even though I'm hurt, I'm still gonna beat the manager, you understand? So we should stop internalizing people's doubts and opinions. It's their business. Let them say what they want to say. As long as you're not doing any of the messy things. Yeah, it's good.